Good evening. We are live.
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Jamie, how are you?
I'm good now that I'm on here.
I am joined by Tommy from Back Sports Page and Jamie from Back Sports Page and Raja.com. Well, you guys know the drill. Let's get the show started with a little bit of music and then we'll jump right into it.
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six. That could be it. Delivers this deep six.
We are in week 25, episode number 44. Tommy, Jamie, thank you so much for hopping on tonight.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much
Definitely.
for help keeping the show going for yet another episode, another week in the books. After we complete our show next week, we will be a half a year of Deep Six
Wow.
Pro Wrestling podcast already.
That's incredible, man. Glad to have been a
Yeah,
part of it.
absolutely, absolutely. So, um, anyhow, to your to you guys who are watching, I posted on Twitter and Facebook that I would be making an announcement right at the very beginning of the show in an effort to make this show more interactive with those that are watching live. Um, we want you guys to participate more, and your participation will yield entries into a drawing that we will do for a free wrestling T-shirt of your choice from Wrestle Tees or WWE. Could be retro shirt, whatever you want. You let us know. The average shirt's around $25-$30 anyway. So basically, whatever shirt you want, it'll be free on us from the Deep Six Pro Wrestling Podcasts. Again, that would require just a little participation. Even if you're watching, just drop a comment about what we're talking about. We'll shout you out and then put you in a drawing. So we'll be a little bit more specific about that next week, and we'll start that through the month of December. How does that sound, guys?
I wish. Can I enter in that competition? I need some new wrestling T-shirts.
He took my answer.
Hey, listen, it's fair game. If you guys happen to be watching one of the episodes, go for it.
Oh, I will.
For sure.
I'm gonna have to take a night off too, and then watch one of the episodes.
Yeah, get him and Randy to host.
Oh man, pretty interesting week in wrestling. But first, Tom, I got to put you on blast. How are those Tampa Bay Rays doing?
Oh, that hurts, man. We were just talking about this, and you gotta throw it to me right after they just lost on a walk-off home run. Oh man, I literally just said how much it hurt me, how much I'm still kind of reeling from it. Just ended like an hour ago. I'm still. They're up 3-2, so they got two more chances to put it away. But man, that hurts. I'm gonna remember that one, Wayne. I'm gonna remember that one.
Oh man, but what a week! The fall season's coming in. I have one more day of work, and then I'm on vacation for a week and to go golfing up in Massachusetts. I'm excited. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the draft that took place. A draft that should have never taken place, to be honest. They should have just merged the brands, in my opinion.
Draft that really didn't mean anything, honestly, for what happened. It was very confusing how they did it, and all
Yes.
the basically it was just here we'll retain this person, and one out of every five picks there'll be somebody going to a different brand. It's just I get that they're trying to switch things up, but it was so confusing, and it didn't make any sense to me.
It was a lot of mid Carters switching around, but we're gonna come in hot. We're gonna come in hot on this draft talk. Jamie will love this one. Jamie would absolutely love this one. So the Raw Tag Team Champions, Street Profits, go to SmackDown, and then the SmackDown Tag Team Champions the New Day go to Raw, and then on Raw you see the two tag teams just switch title belts. And the big storyline about this is Big E is staying put on SmackDown. New Day is the rest of New Day is going on Raw. Jamie, your thoughts about this occurrence? I know we talked about it really quickly the other day. You said you didn't like it.
I was not happy with that at all. I mean, they looked genuinely depressed in the ring when she said that, when Stephanie announced that. I've never seen someone cry like that. And when they were like, say Big E, I was like, say it, just say it. But I mean, I don't think that was fair at all, because I mean they're a team, and then they're going to show them coming back and being all happy and together, and then they're like, psych, now y'all are separated. I wasn't okay with that.
Well, they do get a match tomorrow night together, if I'm not mistaken. If I heard the advertisement right, they'll be together tomorrow. But there's a bigger story to this, though. Well, me personally, I feel that the New Day act altogether kind of ran its course a little bit. They haven't introduced anything new, any new layers to their characters, to their gimmick, their whole shtick in over a year. With some reasons being that Xavier Woods was out for 9 months, Kofi had his single run. So I feel like the New Day kind of ran its course, but I don't think it's the end. I think it's to set up something bigger, which we'll talk about in a second. But I could definitely see the New Day getting back together eventually with the draft constantly happening every single year. It's definitely not the end of New Day by any means. But from what I'm seeing is, and Tommy and Jamie, I think you guys would agree with me. Big E has been getting his singles push over the past couple months. I'm thinking that is going to continue into what many people feel like Big E as the possible winner of the Royal Rumble and maybe challenging for a title at WrestleMania. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah, I like that. I agree with you in the fact that I don't really understand why they broke up the New Day. We just saw Xavier Woods come back, and they were finally kind of getting their groove, and we know how profitable the New Day is. I mean, they're some of the highest sellers in merchandise because they all three just work together so well. But I think it was time for them to finally, in some way, break up and give Big E that singles push. But I don't know about Royal Rumble winner, but I definitely think I could see him pushing for a title somewhere down the line. I think there's a lot of pieces and a lot of people who can still win the Royal Rumble. Just especially depends on how this Hell in a Cell match goes between, actually both Hell in a Cell matches between Roman and Jay and Drew and Randy. So, I like Big E. He is kind of what Keith Lee reminds me of, is just a guy who can give you really good action in the ring, but can really talk on the mic as well. And it's good to see him kind of split away from the New Day, but we'll have to see what they do with him, because as we've seen in the past, them splitting up people from a faction to go on a singles run doesn't always work. We kind of saw that with Randy Orton when he first won the title back in 2004, splitting from Evolution. They took it off of him almost immediately. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with Big E and the rest of the New Day.
JB, your thoughts on Big E? Where does he go from here?
I think he could handle his own in singles, but I still think it would have been better to have Kofi in his corner, at least rooting him on. And I mean, you can be in a tag team and do a singles match. I don't see why they separated them. I'm just not okay with it. But, I don't seem to always have the right answer on, where they're going in there. But I'm still fairly new to it, so, you got to give me a little bit of credit there. But they were my people. New Day rocks, you know.
um, so a couple names of the draft we'll cover really quick. Um, Seth Rollins. What do you guys think about Seth Rollins going over to SmackDown, and also not to mention Dominic and Rey Mysterio going to SmackDown too? Do you think that this is a good move for both parties?
If they stay away from each other, I love it. I'm good with the Mysterio Rollins kind of feud. Like, I think it's run its course. Obviously, they're still kind of trying to do the stuff with Aaliyah, but what I'm hoping this leads to is Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns tag teaming again. They're both heels. They could really play that well, and I think it would lead to a fantastic, tag team. Like, you got the kind of tribal chief in Roman Reigns, and then you have the Messiah. Just put them together. Like, we obviously know how well they work when they worked with the Shield. I'd love to see them. It's both heels. The only thing is that you run into a problem with there is who do they face? Do they wait until Jimmy comes back and they kind of do the Usos versus them, or do they bring in another tag team? It's interesting to see what they'll do with Seth Rollins, but I do like that move to SmackDown for him.
What do you think, Jamie? Do you think he should have stayed on Raw?
Yeah, I think Seth Rollins is gonna have to try and find his place on SmackDown, because I mean he was the Monday Night Messiah. He's not just gonna come take over SmackDown. Well, I mean he might come take over SmackDown, but I mean I'm hoping that the whole, like Tommy said, I hope the whole Mysterio and I hope that's done, because that I'm really tired of seeing Seth Rollins and Dominic. I mean, if I see another kendo stick, I'm just gonna.
We've seen a lot of sticks over the past couple of weeks. Um, I feel like Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, they should have been separated. Seth should have stayed where he was, to be honest with you. But I think they feel like they have more of a story to tell with Aaliyah, and not to mention Blake Murphy went over to SmackDown too as well. So I guess they feel they have more of a story to tell there. So that remains to be seen. Bianca Belair, she's one of my favorite women in WWE right now. She's got the charisma. She can work. What do you guys think
look
of?
too.
Yeah. What do you think of Bianca Belair over the next couple months?
She's the future. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'll put it as simple as that. I mean, if she is not in, we're seeing Lana get a title shot, and that's no disrespect to Lana, but Lana versus Bianca Belair, I mean, it's a pretty easy choice. So hopefully, I'd love to see Bianca Belair in a future title match, in the next coming months, because, like you said, she's got the look, she can talk, and she can go in the ring. And those three qualities are something that you don't see with a lot of women on the roster. And she's definitely got it in spades. So hopefully we get to see more of her, because she's definitely the future of this business.
Jamie, do you think that she is the EST in WWE?
Yeah. I was actually liking her before she came over to Raw, and I don't know. I like her, and I like the Street Profits, and I know they try and keep them separate, but I mean, I like her. She's a little badass. I could see her going far.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you guys noticed that they were giving her some vignettes the past couple of weeks on Raw. Kind of a little hokey, but they've been
Yeah,
giving
the
her
track
some
one.
they've been giving her some vignettes. So I think they're really
She's
I think
smart.
they're gonna yeah, I think they're gonna strap a rocket to her back.
Yeah, which is good, because how, again, yes, you have a lot of women on the roster, but how many of them are actually viable competitors right now for the title? And that's where the surprise of Lana comes. It's just like, yeah, well, she's been a fixture on WWE television since what, 2014, when Rusev came through, but she's never had that big match. She hasn't had that big moment, and now she's just getting a title shot because she won a battle royal. It just kind of feels hokey to me. So hopefully they give a chance to Bianca Belair or somebody else, down the line. I want to see what they're doing with Alexa Bliss, because I'm sure she'll be in the title picture with her storyline going on with Bray Wyatt. But Bianca Belair is one of the best wrestlers in general on the roster, so it'll be good to see what they do with her.
Yeah, it's just total package. Then we had Lars Sullivan came back. That's a new. That's a whole another story. He'll be on SmackDown. Kevin Owens, Aleister Black. That feud is going to continue from Raw over to SmackDown. What do you guys think of this feud?
I love it. I mean, I've talked about this enough. I mean, you can't get more than two of the best wrestlers in the business going at it. The story is good. The work is good. I hope they do a match at Hell in a Cell. Maybe give them a little bit of a stipulation. Let them fight it out for 15 minutes because we obviously know how good of workers these guys are in the ring. Just let them go. I want to see it. I love these two. These are two of my favorite wrestlers on the roster. So hopefully we get to see them continue their story.
And so I think both of you guys would agree. Jamie, I think you would agree that the big storyline here is what they're going to do with Big E, of Roman Reigns over the next couple months, what they're going to do with him. I think, and rumor has it that it's probably going to be Big E versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania if they can't get Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Because if they get Roman Reigns versus The Rock, they're going to pull the trigger on that. Jamie, any big takeaways that you can think of that might have any a WrestleMania implication or something with the SmackDown roster? Another thing I noticed, it's a very stacked roster.
How's that? My voice, man, it's gone, man. I'm trying. Did you see the Fiend with Kevin Owens? Because that one was actually kind of cool too. Because I'm liking the Alexa Bliss and what she did. Hanging upside down and all that. I'm really liking the Fiend and everything that's going on there. So I don't know. He didn't really get a good run with the title there. I'd like to see the Fiend actually get back in there. I'm always for like the little loners. I don't know. But I mean, I know he's popular now, but I'd like to see him go.
Yeah, his character is kind of like one that he's not going to be the type of character that's in a stable or anything like that. Like he's on his own with his puppets, and now Alexa Bliss. So let's see how that rides out. I'm not too sure if I see
that's
Fiend in the title
where
picture.
Alexa Bliss could talk for him.
I mean, listen. When the Fiend is out there, the Fiend doesn't need to talk. Alexa Bliss could absolutely do some talking for him for sure. Absolutely, I can go with that. I mean, when do you ever hear the Fiend? He doesn't really talk a whole lot.
Yeah, and I think that's why you have the alter ego in Bray Wyatt is because he can sell his character, the alter ego, through the Firefly Funhouse and through all that, and he can. We know that Bray Wyatt's a good mic worker, but bringing in Alexa Bliss and having that, extra personality who can help sell him and kind of sell the twisted side. Obviously, Twisted Bliss. It's a good combination, and I'm excited to see what they do with them because they both can work. They're both, always going to be in the title picture, and their characters are really meshing well together.
Yeah, I mean, Alexa Bliss is doing a good job being spaced out every week. She's selling the moves very well. I like it. I'm down. It's something new that we haven't seen in a little bit. So let's run down the Raw roster, why don't we? I think we basically covered as much of SmackDown as we could as far as the draft goes. AJ Styles moves over to Raw. No surprise there. I think he just wants to be on a different show than Paul Heyman. As we know, AJ moved to SmackDown for that reason because the problems, the controversy he was having with Paul Heyman. I guess surrounding the decision making that was made with the Good Brothers and all that. So that's why AJ had went to SmackDown. Now that Paul Heyman's on SmackDown, AJ going back to Raw. So we see that Miz and Morrison. How about Miz and Morrison? Don't you guys, Jamie? Don't you think that Miz and Morrison should have been split up here?
I like Miz and Morrison together. I like their little music videos, and
Okay.
I don't know. They're a good team. I like them together.
How about you, Tommy?
You know, it's tough because we've talked about I feel like we hit on this every episode that we do. Is there's just no tag teams. So the fact that they're together and they have a history, going back to 2008, it kind of makes sense for them to stick together. As much as I'd love to see, the Miz has done some incredible work the last few years, and I don't think he gets enough credit because, I think it was, I want to say Backlash, I don't remember what year, but he had a match against Seth Rollins that stole the show. I mean, and it was the first match of the year, and people just don't give him credit. And of course, we wanted to see Morrison, kind of have that singles run that he never had since his return, but they just don't have enough tag teams, and they have a rapport. They've obviously worked together before. That rhymed. But why not keep them together, So while I don't agree with it, I don't think WWE has a better move to go with because they just don't have anybody that they can put together that fans can, recognize like they can with Miz and Morrison. And I think they work together well. Like Jamie said, I like their music videos. They're kind of hokey sometimes, but they're kind of supposed to be that comedy tag team. So, they work well with it. So, I don't think there was a better move that WWE could have done with those two. So, keeping them together is what they had to do.
Jamie, where do you think that they go from here with the storyline of Miz and Morrison? As you've probably seen, Miz and Morrison have been doing whatever they can to take the briefcase off of
From
Otis.
Otis.
What do you think
Yeah.
happens there? Do you think that storyline squashed, or what do you see happening there?
No, I think it's gonna go to. I think it's gonna keep going, and I keep thinking that they're gonna get to court, and like Otis is gonna come in and like go from being little Southern boy to like top lawyer. Like I don't know, because he's been trying to learn his lawyer words and whatnot, and I think that'd be pretty cool to see him come in and just like completely take over and still keep his briefcase. And I mean, I think that'd be pretty funny if that's where they went with that.
Tommy, what do you think about what you said about Miz and Morrison and Otis maybe doing some kind of segment in a courtroom?
I feel like it's leaning towards that way, especially with Otis defending himself, and that's fun. Otis is a fantastic comedy worker. Not, and that's I feel like that's kind of a slight to him because he can go in the ring. He's an interesting character. He's fun to watch. My only problem is, and I've said this countless times, is they're just running out of time. Like they need to figure out what they're going to do with this Money in the Bank contract. They've kind of made it not matter as much the past few years, especially with Damian Sandow losing it. I know there was somebody else who lost it, but it they have to do something with this Money in the Bank. Whether that means get it off of him, maybe let him challenge for the tag team titles or for a secondary title. Just they have to do something because it's by my count it's October and the Money in the Bank is normally in May, so they only have about 7 months.
Yeah. It's still got quite a bit of time. I'm just wondering how and when this is going to happen. If Otis is even going to be the guy that's going to do the cash in. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Heavy Machinery is split up as well.
That's true, yeah.
So Tucky is going to be on Raw.
Tucky and Shorty G. I mean, it's almost as bad as Slapjack and T-Bar.
I don't know what their WWE is doing here. They are going way in the opposite direction. They've split up almost every single tag team at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, all going to Raw. Give Raw a different look, but we'll probably still see the same old same there from what we were seeing on SmackDown. Nikki Cross going over to Raw, so I think both of you guys can agree that we'll see Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss feuding in the future. How about the new big man,
I mean, Yeah, he's the new big man, but like, didn't he just get destroyed by Braun Strowman like 3 weeks ago or something? Within the last month. Like, how are you gonna make such a big deal out of Dabba-Kato when he got absolutely destroyed? You know, like
Yeah, that should have never happened.
they need to. He should have beaten Braun Strowman.
Yep.
He should have made it a massacre. I mean, he should have destroyed him. Braun Strowman doesn't need that win. He's big enough. He's big enough of a character to be in the main event seat, to be recognizable enough to always be a top of the card. If you're trying to build up new stars, they need to beat top guys. You know, they need to get these surprise wins, these upset wins. And when you have a new guy that you're building up so much in Raw Underground, and then he just gets beat by another guy, you know, in the main roster, it just kind of seems like it was all for nothing. So maybe they'll do something different with Dabba-Kato. Maybe, you know, I wonder if they'll kind of do Shane McMahon, maybe have him be his manager. I know they kind of hinted at that with the whole Raw Underground thing, when he was in that segment with Kevin Owens. But I don't know. I mean, I hope he's a new big man, because WWE surely needs it with the lack of, you know, they don't have Big Show. Really, all they have is Braun Strowman. There's no Kane. There's no Undertaker. They don't really have a big man anymore. So,
But Braun Strowman's the new Big Show.
yeah, that's true.
Jamie, your thoughts on Dabba-Kato? Do you like his look, his appearance? Do you think he can go somewhere?
Um, it's all right. I don't really like the Raw Underground, so but I know that I had written about it before, but Dabba-Kato was in the Greatest Royal Rumble and was taken out by Braun Strowman. So I thought that maybe that's why he was going after him in Raw Underground. But I mean, I don't know. He seems too much like, what was his name? Oh my god! Every time, he just doesn't talk, and he seems more like like I can't even.
He reminds me a little bit of like Great Khali, just kind of like that big guy
That's
who.
it. Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's it. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
just that kind of guy who they want to use, you know, who's big enough to get that, you know, kind of out there world title win, you know, just randomly, but unless if they build him up and give him an actual character, he's not going to go anywhere.
Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Randy Orton all stay on the same brand. No crossovers there. The big names really didn't cross over too much, with the exception of Seth Rollins and The Fiend. Those are the two biggest names that crossed over. Everything else is all mid card stuff. Kind of like a somewhat of an underwhelming draft, in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll talk about something that hasn't been too underwhelming lately. SmackDown's actually been pretty good the past going on 2 months now. Um, we had a pretty good show last week. It was the first night of the draft, and well, this isn't in my notes, but we'll talk about it really quick. We have Sasha Banks and Bailey. It's confirmed now that they'll be in Hell in a Cell. You think that was rushed?
Yes. I mean, me and you talked about it on last week's episode. 2 Hell in a Cell matches is enough for me. For a 2.5 hour, 3 hour show. 3 Hell in a Cell matches. I mean, I'm looking forward to all of them. I think they're going to be great, but this is a feud that you hold off to WrestleMania. I mean, this is something that's been building since 2016. Their takeover. I mean, even their story. They've been, you know, in NXT since 2014. They were, you know, they did the WWE Network documentary, The Chronicle, where they talked about how they came in at the same time, basically. Like, this is a story that you build to WrestleMania, no matter what. And the fact that they're having this blow off here, you know, they had the title match on Friday, and now they're going to do a Hell in a Cell match. I don't see them making this all the way to WrestleMania, and that's poor booking, in my opinion. I mean, this is such a great feud, and you know, Hell in a Cell match. Yeah, it's good that they're getting a chance to shine in that environment, since not a lot of women have wrestled in that match, but I don't understand what WWE thinks when you have a money feud. We've seen them do this with Cena Nexus. You know, there's been tons of feuds that they've had over the years where they've had a money feud that can be built for months, and they blow the gun too fast. And this is one of them. I think this is something that they should have saved for April because it's a moneymaker. I mean, these are two of the best women in the business, and you know they're gonna have a great match at Hell in a Cell, but it's not the time to do it.
Jamie, your thoughts on where they should have went with Sasha and Bailey?
I don't think that they should have gotten this match yet either because it seems like Sasha is still playing up the whole neck injury thing. Like the second that anything happens, she's back to holding on to her neck, and I don't know if they're gonna keep it going after Hell in a Cell because I still see Bailey somehow coming out of it, but I mean I don't know how long she could actually hold the belt. Like I know it's been like a year now, right? Because I know it was at like 362 days or something. Yeah. So it's over a year now. So obviously something's going to happen, and it seems like it's about time because Sasha Banks had to kind of play like the under, like the buddy, and she's the more dominant one of the two, I think. So I think it's about time for her to get her chance.
Yeah, it's. Oh, sorry, Wayne.
Oh no, you're good. Go.
I was just gonna say it's definitely a reverse of their storyline in NXT. You know, Sasha was the dirty heel, and Bailey was the baby face that everybody wanted to win. And when she finally got that win, it was huge. You know, you've talked about it. You were in Brooklyn that day when she won. Now you have Bailey being the conniving heel. You know, attacking her. You know, giving her the neck injury, and everybody wants Sasha to win. But this is different because back then they built it off of a major pay-per-view in TakeOver Brooklyn. Of course, Hell in a Cell is a big pay-per-view, but it's still a B show. It's nothing like Rumble or SummerSlam or WrestleMania. So I don't know. I feel like when you have a feud this good and with this strong of a story, you save this for one of those big four. One of the major pay-per-views. So maybe they'll continue into the Survivor Series, but. Yeah, I also agree. I don't see Sasha taking the win in this match. I think she takes it somewhere in the long run, but I don't know. I don't agree with WWE's booking here.
I think Sasha should have been drafted to Raw. And we lost Jamie. I guess she'll be back. Sasha should have been drafted to Raw. And let Sasha go through the competition and let her win the Women's Royal Rumble and then challenge Bailey at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That would have been a nice slow burn.
Yeah, the story with Becky Lynch when she won, she won the Royal Rumble and she earned that opportunity. She went through the whole roster. She lost to Asuka earlier in the night, but still won the Rumble and got that chance, and then she had that huge moment at WrestleMania 35. This is a story that should have been built off at WrestleMania. So I mean, we'll see what they do. I talked about last week. I have honestly been pretty impressed with how WWE has handled their pay-per-views ever since the COVID era started. So maybe they'll surprise me. 3 Hell in a Cell matches it's a lot. I know one is different in the fact that it's a I Quit Hell in a Cell match, which will be really interesting. But yeah, the Sasha Banks story, the Sasha Banks Bailey storyline just is a little jumping the gun a little too quick for my liking.
Speaking of that Hell in a Cell match, we're finding out that Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso will be an I Quit match inside a Hell in a Cell. So you're getting 2 gimmick matches in one, where one, you can't get out, and 2, you have to quit. Make the other opponent quit in order to win the match. Yeah, so we see that Roman Reigns still goes on to yet specify the consequences that he's referring to. He's saying that Jey Uso, it's gonna be consequences for him, especially if he loses in this title match for the Universal title. Come Hell in a Cell. We got the return of Lars Sullivan following the tag match between Riddle and Hardy versus Miz and Morris, and Lars comes out and attacks them all. Think they're going anywhere with Lars Sullivan?
I would have said yes before that another report of his personal doings has come out. I don't know. I mean, the one thing that a lot of people have written about that I 100% agree with is while he may not have a lot of fans backstage, he still has one, and it's the most important one, and it's Vince McMahon. So until Vince McMahon gives up on him, I don't know. I mean, he's going to be in the company. We kind of seen the same thing with Velveteen Dream. You know, whether any of that stuff is true or not, that's not for my decision to make. You know, we've seen some of the evidence, but um, you know, Lars Sullivan has a good look. If you know he can get his personal life fixed and all that stuff, I think we could see him get pushed. But I honestly don't know. It's really the biggest decision is Vince McMahon's, and so we'll see what he decides to do with him. But it obviously seems like he's getting a push if he comes out on SmackDown and makes an impact like he did.
Yeah, we'll see where they go from there. And then, as we mentioned before on SmackDown, their new tag team champions, New Day and Kofi. New Day, Kofi and Xavier Woods defeat Shinsuke and Cesaro. Woods looked very good
Yeah,
coming
this
off
is
the Achilles injury, and for those of you that might be watching or listening, I know about the Achilles injury very well because I am still recovering from one from over a year ago, having double surgery on my left foot Achilles. So I know how it feels. But so I'm watching him move. I'm paying very close attention. He had a nice um, elbow drop off the top rope. He did like a front roll and jumped to the outside. He was moving pretty well.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, it's beyond impressive for anybody to come back from a major injury like that. And my thing is with Woods, he's definitely not been the most pushed out of the three of the New Day. He's definitely been the least, you know, the least pushed guy, the least guy who's allowed to shine in the ring. And we talked about the New Day splitting up earlier, but I actually think this is really good for him to get that chance to be a tag team with Kofi because he can really go in the ring. He's got the great charisma. We know how good of he is on the mic, but he can go in the ring. And so this will be interesting. I wonder if they'll, you know, let them hold the belts for a while and let Woods really get a chance to show off what he can do in the ring.
Very good showing by Kofi here. New Day, the tag team champions, and as we mentioned before, took their SmackDown titles, went to Raw, exchanged titles with Profits. Now, New Day is the Raw tag team champions, where Street Profits are now the SmackDown tag team champions, just based on the simple fact that they decided to switch titles, which is very interesting. But moving on, not much more WWE talk left. But as we mentioned a little earlier, Kevin Owens and Aleister Black are headed to SmackDown. But they had their no disqualification match on Raw. Black with the Meteor onto KO through the chairs, which was a nice little visual. KO hits a stunner on Black, followed by a power bomb through the table. Gets the win. What did you think of this?
Yeah, you know, KO is, like we talked about, KO is really good. I like that this was a no disqualification match, right? I'm sure on that, right? I want
Yeah,
to make sure.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was no DQ.
Yeah, it was good. You know, these two we talked about can go in the ring. I mean, their story's good, and they're just fun to watch. I mean, these two can really just give them 15 minutes, and they can steal the show every night. So I don't have much to say about it because I want to see what the story goes into. I want to see if they continue to keep going with this. But you know, hats off to these two because I think they really did steal the show.
Yes, they were the bright spot as far as in-ring action. Another thing that's not in my notes, I didn't put in my notes, but I guess we'll talk about it really quick. Early in the night, we see Lana get thrown into a table once again. This is 5 weeks in a row now. She has gone through the announce commentator's table, but she gets a little time to shine because in the women's battle royal, we see Natalia is the last one standing, but long and behold, Lana was never eliminated, comes into the ring and from behind knocks Natalia off the apron. Lana is now your number one contender for a future Raw Women's title shot. What? Where did this come from?
I don't think WWE even knows, honestly. Especially when you see, the way they've treated the spouses of people who've left the company. And, Miro's in AEW now. And the fact that Lana has never really been pushed, and now she gets a title match. Why? What's the point? It seems like they're putting names in a hat and picking a random one each week to see who gets to face Asuka, because it just doesn't make sense. There's too many. We talked about Bianca Belair. There's good people on this roster who you can make a good story for to get a title match. And no disrespect to Lana, but she's not one of them. Like, she hasn't been featured in the ring for very long, and I mean, I don't think she's very good, and that's just my personal opinion. But for her to be thrown into a title match like this when she hasn't had any high profile match, I think, ever, it's another poor booking choice by WWE in my sense. They're trying to go for that shock value, and it was shockingly bad in this sense.
Angel Garza with the win over Andrade via win clipper. This is a big win for Garza, don't you think?
Yeah, I've liked Garza, and I'm interested to see what they do with him. I know he almost got hurt a little bit ago in that match. I forget, the Street Profit match, the championship match. But he's a good wrestler. I like that they split him away from Andrade and they split him away from Zelina Vega. So it'll be good to see what they do with him. Obviously, he's still kind of young, and he's got the look. I mean, he can go in the ring. He's got a good look, and I think he can talk too. I like some of his backstage segments. So we'll have to see what they do with him here in the future.
Yeah, and after their match, we see Fiend and Alexa Bliss make their presence known as the lights go out. Fiend and Alexa Bliss appear when the red lights come on, and they attack Andrade and Zelina. So it looks like we could be getting a mixed tag match here.
See, now that would be interesting. I thought about this for a little bit, and I like Zelina. I thought she did really, really well in her match against Asuka, and obviously I'm a big fan of Andrade. I wonder if this is the start of his push. We've kind of heard a lot of them wanting to push Andrade, that Andrade is one of Vince McMahon's favorites on the roster. Giving him a high-profile match with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss could do a lot for his career. So I'm wondering if that's the route that they're going with this.
It looks like it. I mean, they can't just ignore it and Andrade and Zelina Vega come out on the next show and make like nothing ever happened.
Yeah,
this is going to be addressed for sure. So I could expect a mixed tag match on either Raw or on Hell in a Cell.
Yeah, it'll be good. I mean, you got to fill up that card at some point. They only have 3 matches, and they're all Hell in a Cell matches, so that'd be a good one. You want to get your stars on the show, and Andrade and all 4 of them, honestly, not just Andrade. All 4 of them are good pieces of the roster, so I think that could be a really good match and a good break between the Hell in a Cell matches.
Imagine they have Alexa Bliss come out with the mask too.
Now that would be something.
I'd be pretty interested in have her do an alter ego. I wonder if they had that way. But anyhow, that pretty much covers the WWE side of the stuff. We covered a decent amount there. Like I said, most of the happenings were really revolving around the trade talk, the draft, which we covered extensively. And not really too much happening on the Raw side, especially. SmackDown, a couple good progressions. Hell in a Cell, we're about another week away. So that's getting close. AEW Dynamite. Let's talk about Dynamite. Happy anniversary, AEW Dynamite. What did you think of this show?
Yeah, we talked about it before the show. I've been a big fan of AEW. When you announce 4 title matches for your anniversary show, and you don't have a single title change hands, it just, I don't know. Even though it's free TV, it kind of feels cheap to me in some way. I obviously didn't think that Big Swole was going to beat uh, Hikaru Shida, sorry. I didn't think that Lance Archer was going to beat John Moxley. I just don't see why there wasn't one title change. I think you could have gone with Orange Cassidy getting a title, a victory. You can take it off of him down the line, maybe at Full Gear. He's had 3 TNT title matches in the last 2 months. Like, why is he not won one if you're going to keep giving him opportunities? And I think this was the time to do it. But overall, it was a really good show. I'm interested to see what they're doing with MJF and Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle. I thought the tag team match was really good. Props to AEW for starting with that match. It's kind of, this is their anniversary show, but they've been known for their tag team wrestling. And, kind of like, just to start it off with that, it was good. It was a smart move. But overall, it's a really good episode, and I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the future, as they move towards Full Gear.
They are moving that way, and we're gonna talk about run down that show really quick. We had the FTR versus Best Friends for the tag titles. FTR gets the win. Chuck gets hit with the FTR's tag team title belts. So there was shenanigans going on there with Tony Blanchard getting involved, helping FTR get the win there. Every win that FTR has basically had is with Tully Blanchard getting involved. So check this out. We see a video game arcade in the middle of the arena. Like, what is that doing in the middle of the arena, first of all? But anyway, we see Miro attack Best Friends because during the match, Hardwood was on the arena floor with Trent when Trent went through the arcade game through the back of it that Kip Sabian was playing and Penelope were hanging out at. To the back goes Penelope to get Miro because Kip directed Penelope to go get Miro. And then you see Miro come out and attack Best Friends at the end of Best Friends match. So that's what caused that melee. Any thoughts on that before we move on? I'm just trying to figure out like how they allowed a video game system like that to be into the arena.
Yeah, I think the video game system is kind of like a play on the fact that both Kip Sabian and Miro run Twitch channels, and that's cool. I like it. I think that's a cool little just callback, I guess, to the fact that they have that. I'm wondering if this is going to lead to a Best Friends versus. I'm not wondering. I know it's going to. Obviously, they wouldn't have tagged him. Best Friends versus Miro and Kip Sabian. I like that match. The only problem is we haven't seen enough of Kip Sabian, and he works well in the ring. He's a good high flyer. He can move well in the ring, but.
Well, Kip Sabian worked 75% of their match when he tagged with Miro on Miro's debut.
Yeah, so
we saw a lot of Kip there.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that with Best Friends, who are a veteran of the AEW tag team scene, like they can put on a good match, and I think they could. I just don't know if they're going to do that at Full Gear, if they're going to continue to lead this out for a little bit longer. But yeah, it's a good start for Miro. Hopefully, we get to see him break away from Kip Sabian here in the future and get that push that he didn't get in WWE.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Only time will tell there. I would like to see Miro with some stronger opponents. But moving on, we see Archer attacking John Moxley backstage, furthering the story for their match later in the night, which we'll talk about in a short bit. Then we had a pretty good TNT Championship title match there with Orange Cassidy and Cody. Cody's hair is blonde again.
Yeah, it was weird. Especially it was weird to see him just with the black hair to begin with, like, because I've kind of always known him as to be the blonde hair or even just brownish hair, and then he comes out with the black hair for the movie that he shot. But Yeah, it's interesting to see him change it. But this match was great. I thought this was Orange Cassidy's best match in AEW. I've been the biggest Orange Cassidy fan that you can find on this show, and I thought he did great. I just don't understand, like I talked about, if this is his third TNT title match in 2 months, why is he not won it? Why keep giving him opportunities if you have so many good people on your roster who haven't gotten that opportunity? If he's not going to win, and this was the time to do it. You need a title change on something where you have 4 title matches. So, overall, it was a really good match. I thought this was Orange Cassidy's best match to date in AEW.
Yeah, Orange Cassidy had the roll up pin on Cody, but time ran out before the ref Paul Turner can count to 3. It The ref was literally about 1 to 2 seconds ahead of the time limit. So I'm sorry, the time limit was 1 to 2 seconds ahead of the ref count. So time ran out first before the ref can count to 3, causing basically no decision. Time ran out. Good match. But it was interesting as you see Darby Allin. So little long-term storytelling continued here. You see Darby Allin hanging in the rafters watching this match, and then they announced that Darby will challenge Cody for the TNT title coming up soon. I forgot when they announced that. I don't know if it was for next week or at Full Gear.
Yeah, I forget too. But that should be a really good match.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're trying to make Darby kind of like with the hanging in the rafters. I wonder if they're trying to make him kind of like that Sting character. Obviously, he's kind of the out there person, out of place in a big fish in a small pond kind of thing. I like Darby Allin. I think his character is good, but I wonder why they're doing this when he's in a feud with Starks and Brian Cage with Will Hobbs involved. So it'll be interesting to see what they go
That's
from
interesting.
here. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah. It looks like they might be running 2 storylines with Darby Allin at the same time.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Maybe
They get involved.
Yeah, they interrupt that match.
Yeah.
Let to see what happens there. Swole, she was in the match. Who did she fight against? Sheeta.
Sheeta, yeah, in the AEW Women's Championship match.
Good showing. A little bit of a short match, but
Yeah.
not a bad showing by Swole.
Yeah, she looked good. It's just, this goes back to the thing where, yes, you have 4 title matches, but some of them have to be kind of obvious winners, and nobody thought that she was going to lose the title. So, we see the storyline with Britt Baker, excuse me. So obviously Britt Baker is going to get that next title opportunity, and I think she could be the one who takes it off of Sheeta. But overall, really good showing by Swole. I thought this was a really good match from her.
Absolutely. Yeah, Swole's been featured pretty heavily over the past couple weeks, maybe even months now, due to the fact that some women have been out, which some of them are starting to make their return. Britt Baker, how about Britt Baker and Tony Schiavone in that segment in the spa?
Oh, man.
That was amazing. That was like a throwback to 40-year-old virgin with Steve Carell getting his chest waxed and hair ripped off. Oh man, I was pretty funny though.
It was very good.
Brett Baker didn't even know that he was half naked. I love the dynamic with them too.
Yeah, no, and they obviously love each other. They obviously love working with each other because they kind of give each other crap. Well, Britt Baker gives Shivani crap every week, and so it's good to see them two get along because Shivani is one of the best in the business. I mean, he does such an excellent job just in general with AEW. So it's good to see him kind of get a little bit of character development as well, not just kind of like the guy on the commentary team.
Yeah. No, you're right. I'll have to tell you my Tony Schiavone story. I don't know if you heard it. Did you hear it the one time I was at WCW Nitro?
I don't think so.
All right. I'm gonna have to share it sometime. Not tonight. But I'm gonna have to share that with you, like off camera kind of stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyhow, the main event. We're coming in for Landon here. Moxley, we get Jon Moxley versus Lance Archer for the AEW World Title. We saw a pretty good match. John Moxley out to a quick start, landing his finisher within the first 10 seconds. But good back and forth match that they had. Lance Archer put the blackout powerbomb on Moxley. Archer went for the pin, but Moxley no sold it and rolled up Archer really fast. And John Moxley retains his title. What did you think of this title match that we saw last night?
Yeah, it was good. Archer has definitely been built up as this just dominant, you know, just a dominant character. I mean, he's just so good. And my only thing is that we've seen this for the non-casual fan, or for the casual fan, I guess. They haven't seen this match before, but for big fans of wrestling, we saw this, just in January in New Japan. So I don't know if they could do that much different from this match. I think that was a Texas Death Match that they did in New Japan. But
Yeah.
this was good. I enjoyed it. I don't know where Archer goes from here, but the addition of uh, the championship tournament. Oh man, they announced that bracket. We know where Moxley's going to be heading. He's facing one of either Page or Omega, and I'm very excited for that. So, but it was a really good match. It was really good. It was a good build off. The only thing is that you knew that Moxley was not losing the title to Lance Archer here. So
It looks like Moxley's next opponent is probably going to be. I mean, we know that we have the tournament going on.
yeah,
We'll touch on that in 1 second, but we do know that Eddie Kingston. We see Eddie Kingston and his
Kingston,
gang
yeah.
come in, congratulating him. You can kind of tell that something was about to happen.
Yeah.
Lifting John Moxley's arms, and then Eddie Kingston decks John Moxley. Eddie Kingston then puts him in a chokehold, tapping him out. The Lucha Bros are not letting the refs come in for the save. So it looks like we're gonna get a match between John Moxley and Eddie Kingston. I would say at Full Gear. I mean, I
Yeah.
get that's where that's got to be where you go with 2 to 3 weeks left. It's got to be where you go at this point. Um, Kingston getting that shot with John Moxley. I would expect probably John Moxley to go over there. I would think.
I think they're
But,
going to try and do like a no disqualification or an I quit match, something along those lines. They definitely have been building to that, just a kind of, just in general, a brutal match. And I think that, excuse me, they'll try and do whatever they can. So I think there'll be some sort of gimmick attached to this match, and I think it'll be great. I've loved Eddie Kingston, and I think he's the best talker in the business, and I will hands down say that he's so good on the mic. And he's going to be able. Yes, you only have about 2 to 3 weeks to sell this pay per view or to sell this match for the pay per view. He's going to do his damnedest to make this match matter, and I think they're going to put on a really good match at Full Gear.
Absolutely. And now, getting back to the brackets, there are some names in here. In my opinion, they could have done a better job putting this bracket together. You could have had Archer here. Maybe you could have put Miro. That probably would have been too soon.
Yeah.
But you could have put Brody Lee in here because it's not the title. Give him something to do. But instead, you got quite a bit of goobers in his
That's
tournament.
a good way to put it.
So you got, and listen, they're going to be good matches, but for a number one contender title match, the way that they're structured now, they could have definitely put better names here. But Pentagon versus Ray Phoenix, we got Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela in the first rounds. And then on the other side of the bracket, we got Colt Cabana and Hangman Page going 1-on-1, and then Wardlow versus Jungle Boy. So I mean, is it just me, or is it clear cut to me that they have Hangman and Omega set up to meet in the finals to go 1-on-1 to fight for the number one contendership?
I mean, how could you not? I mean, we talked about it last week. If they put them on opposite sides of the bracket, they were meeting up in the finals, and it's just it works. I don't know if you're a fan of Being the Elite on the YouTube series, but they definitely still are kind of playing that, the fact that they're in a little bit of in a big rivalry right now. I just think this is going to be hopefully my expectations for those two, their match is pretty high right now, but I think they're gonna blow the roof off the place. I mean, these two have been building this story. This is perfect storytelling. This has been going on for a long time. I just think this is gonna be great. But yeah, I'm really excited to see the Ray Phoenix match. I think that could be really good, and the Jungle Boy Wardlow match. Jungle Boy is definitely one of the more underrated wrestlers on the roster. And we haven't seen a lot of Wardlow. We saw him in the steel cage with Cody Rhodes. We've seen him in a few other matches, but I think those two can mesh really well and put on a good match.
Absolutely. So that basically wraps up AEW talk. That wraps up basically our show for tonight. We covered everything. We got Hell in a Cell going next weekend. And not too far after that, we got Full Gear. Is that called? Right?
Yeah,
Full Gear?
Full Gear. Yeah.
Okay. So we got Full Gear coming up 2 weeks after that. Not even. So New Japan, I'm a week behind. Otherwise, I would catch you guys up on that and let you know my thoughts. But I am 1 week behind. It is hard to work a full schedule and just keep up with everything and to watch 5 2-hour 45-minute shows on top of keeping up with AEW and 3 WWE shows a week. That's a lot of hours. That is a lot of hours. That's well over 20 hours a week of content.
That's what wrestling does to you, right?
So hopefully I'll be a little bit more caught up and we can talk about that. But Tommy, thank you so much for hanging on. Jamie, I know you might be watching. I know you had troubles connecting. You were on for a little bit. Thank you so much for hopping on. So guys, those of you that are watching, remember, I'll reiterate again, starting November, I'm going to run a contest, and those that leave comments with the discussion, because we want to make it interactive with you guys and, have a discussion with you guys, not just a review show. We want to try to do more, but we'll be running that wrestling t-shirt contest. So we will inform you guys more on that when that comes out, which should be like the first week of November. But for those of you that are watching, make sure you are subscribed, you share with your friends. You can follow the Deep Six Pro Wrestling Podcast on YouTube, Twitter, iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify, and more. Also, visit www.backsportspage.com for all of your sports news. We always like to shout them out. They've been helping us because you can find our content on their website as well. And you can find all of Tommy's content of his writings about AEW on the Backsports Page website. So check that out, the backsportspage.com. Team has had some good content on there. They had Thunder Rosa. They had Santino Marella recently. Then they had the saxophone player from Dave Matthews Band. Randy must have been in La La Land doing that interview. Dave Matthews Band is his favorite, and I love DMB myself. I watched the first half of the episode, and it was so good. The saxophone player, very down to earth, very knowledgeable about the music and his experiences. So I still have to watch like the last quarter of it, but it was so good. You guys should need to check that out. Tommy, once again, thank you so much for hopping back on, and we will be back with you guys. We will announce next week. I'm not too sure what day yet. Probably the same day, Thursday. But we will announce the next show and get some Hell in a Cell content to you guys. Thank you so much for those of you that are watching, and you all have an awesome night. And it would help if I hit the end button.